Songs that made the hit parade.
Guys like us, we had it made.
Those were the days. And you knew where you were then.
Girls were girls and men were men. Mister, we could use a man like Herbert Hoover again. Didn't need no welfare states.
Everybody pulled his weight. Gee, our old La Salle ran great. Those were the days.
No one had fought harder to make contraception available to all women than the country's most outspoken birth control advocate, Margaret Sanger.
Say that originally the opposition was in all law, and you had to fight against that. Today your opposition stems mainly from where? From what source?
Well, I think that the opposition is mainly from the hierarchy of the Roman Catholic Church.
Of the Church. And you certainly can take no issue with the natural law as the hierarchy of the Catholic Church regards it.
Well, I certainly do take issue with it. I think it's untrue, and I think it's unnatural.
Well, let me ask you...
I think bears it out that it's an unnatural attitude to take. And how do they know? I mean, after all, they're celibates. They don't know love. They don't know marriage. They know nothing about bringing up children or any of the marriage.
What Sanger dreamed of was a simple pill. Now, 71, she began searching for a scientist willing to defy both law and custom. She found him at a laboratory in Shrewsbury, Massachusetts. He was the colorful and brilliant reproductive physiologist, Gregory Pincus. By 1951, Pincus was desperate. Harvard denied him tenure, and Pincus set up his own small research laboratory. For the next decade, he would struggle to keep the lab solvent, even serving as his own janitor. His research into hormones had been slow to produce results. His client, the pharmaceutical company G.D. Searle, cut off his funding and declared Pincus a lamentable failure. That same year, he was introduced to Margaret Sanger. Pincus told her that hormones held the key to a contraceptive pill. But the research would cost much more than the few $1,000s Sanger had available. Without millions, he explained, the pill would remain only a dream. On a bright New England morning in 1953, Margaret Sanger set out for a meeting with Gregory Pincus at his lab. Accompanying her was her new patron. Catherine Dexter McCormick was 78 years old, committed to birth control, and very rich. When she was 29, Catherine married Stanley McCormick, heir to the vast fortune of the International Harvester Company. After her husband's death, McCormick contacted Margaret Sanger, her old friend from the suffragette days. When Sanger and McCormick arrived at Pincus's lab, the science of hormones was still in its infancy. But the elderly heiress wanted a pill right away. She got straight to the point.
She kept on asking him the tough questions. How much new equipment do you need? Are there going to be institutional pressures against you? Now, who's going to be fighting this? Are you determined? Are you with us? And he had to take a few long breaths and long pauses and figure out, do I really want to get in bed with these two women for the next decade? And he thought about it and he said, yes. He said, I can do this.
With McCormick's backing, Pincus set up a lab to put his hormone theory to the test. He injected lab animals with repeated doses of the hormone progesterone, hoping it would stop ovulation. Within months, Pincus's hunch proved correct. Surprise, the G.D. Searle Company had already developed progesterone in pill form, but was doing little with it. Pincus persuaded his former client to give him samples. In the winter of 1954, under the guise of a fertility study, Rock agreed to test Searle's pill on a group of 50 women.
And to have this going on in a state where to even talk about birth control publicly was a felony.
Finally, the data came in. Not one of the 50 women ovulated while on the pill. The success of the covert experiment, however, was only a first step. Getting the pill to market would require approval from the Food and Drug Administration. G.D. Searle was willing to provide the pills, and birth control officials in Puerto Rico were delighted to be part of a scientific experiment. The first large-scale trial of the contraceptive pill was launched in April 1956 at Rio Piedras, a housing project. The women would take a pill with 10 milligrams of progesterone to stop ovulation and a smaller amount of estrogen to ease discomfort. Doctors knew little about the consequences of hormones. The volunteers knew even less. As the trials progressed, some women began to complain of nausea, dizziness, headaches, stomach pain, and vomiting. After 9 months of testing, the medical director in Puerto Rico told Pincus that the pill was 100% effective when taken properly. Nevertheless, she argued,